Welcome back to Rugged and Ruthless. I am joined yet again, by my buddy Ray and Travis. Welcome. And they have just met for the first time today. I hunt in multiple hunting groups, and all this is brought to you by Duck Blind Mafia. Yeah, that was pretty awkward, but you know what? I'm learning here. So they just met. So in order for some little bit of introduction, Travis, explain how we met and how you got into waterfowling, because Ray and I have known each other for like 17, 18 years. So you're new to the group, man, and welcome to the Mafia family.
Thanks, guys. So we met, our kids go to the same daycare, had a birthday party for my daughter. Joey shows up, says, "You look like you need a beer," and just kept handing me beers the entire party. So I knew we'd kick it off, and he's trying to get me into duck hunting from day one. I've always been an avid deer hunter. He finally convinced me to get into duck hunting last year, and man, I had a blast. So it's kind of how I ended up here.
Hunt with guys that always say they shoot every bird. I know I shot that one. It's all on camera.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
It's all on camera.
It doesn't matter what group that you hunt in. There's always one or two guys that doesn't matter. Every time they squeeze the trigger, something falls. And you just got to roll with it. That's just the way it goes.
That's how it was for me last year. I mean,
you did hammer that one bird, man. You hammered it.
Oh, I know. But at the end of the day, I mean, I came home with birds every time I went out for the most part.
Yeah.
I didn't care who shot it. It wasn't worth the argument. I had a blast every single time I went out.
Well, and that's the thing that really gets me in with this different group of hunting, whether you're hunting geese, hunting ducks. If you're going out just in a group, it's the camaraderie that you find in the duck blind, the pit. It's hard to find that kind of interaction with your buddies from a deer stand, and that was one of the biggest things that really made me really love duck hunting more. Was you can have a good time, but when the birds come in, you get your head down, shut everybody up, and just get to work.
And that's
he's hard to shut up. This guy right here, even though I'm a rookie.
Yeah,
and
I think they can hear him when they're still a mile high.
I think so too.
Yeah.
However, when he starts blowing duck call, they tend to listen.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yep.
But that was one of the biggest things that really helped me out. The transition to waterfowl hunting was you can actually have a good time.
Absolutely.
But deer hunting, hey, I'm telling you right now, there is no better time than sitting in nature all day long in a tree stand.
And having them fucking squirrels go crazy on you.
Well, I tell you what, I completely agree with you. The peace and quiet, it's nice, and I love it. It does get old, though.
It does.
It does. There's only so long you can sit in a stand and enjoy nature without getting bored, right? Like, I don't care who you are, especially take like during the rut, you want to do an all-day sit.
Absolutely.
You can't sit in that stand from sun up to sundown without getting bored at some point.
Got to.
That's why I fell in love with waterfowl hunting, too, is like you said, you're with your boys, you're out having a good time. Someone sees a bird, you sit down and shut up.
That's
That day just flies by, you know.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is, though, because Travis is new to our group. You know, I have multiple groups, one in Oklahoma, which is, Curbs, you, the boys. And then I have my one here, and there's like three of us, and it's a good group. And but we do have a lot of fun in the blinds. I mean, hell, the reason everything got started is because you got me back into hunting. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, you told me we're going duck hunting, and I was like, I haven't hunted in years, and look what it is. I mean, now we're sitting here on a rugged and ruthless podcast, and we're talking about hunting. I mean, you got me back into it. You're the reason we're doing this is because you took me to Indiana on a Friday night and was like, "You're buying all this shit, and we're going hunting in the morning." I mean, that's literally what happened, and I got back into it, and it was a good day. So, and then Travis, through many, many conversations and more 30 wrecks than we can count, got him started. He went one time, and he was hooked. I mean, he was, when can we go again? He said, I can't interfere with deer season, but, goose season comes along, early goose. He's like, well, I could probably spare a weekend, to go hit some geese. And, he's an avid fisherman and duck hunter. I mean, that's what, or deer hunter, that's what he does. And, getting us all together finally under one roof is actually really nice. I mean, it really is a good time. So, and the shenanigans, if somebody could go with us on a hunt. But I mean, it's Travis, I'm calling you out on that. I don't understand why, but I mean, we get three of us in the hole one time, and it'll be a good time.
It'll happen eventually.
We have other hunts.
So I think, what do you think about, what's the key whenever you're calling in birds to actually make it effective rather than just doing it just to make noise? Well, just hold on for a second. You, since you're the new, what have you seen? Have you seen a difference in how the birds act when people are just going crazy on the calls, or whenever you're just quiet?
Absolutely. So I, for one, do not call. So I've tried to mess around with it. You don't ever want me calling for when we hunt, just so you know.
You're getting better at it.
What I have noticed, though, so some people they just tee off, right? And these birds are looking like they're going to lock up, and they just split off.
Sure.
I think having a good caller that's actually paying attention to the birds and watching their movements is key. Once you have a good caller that can figure out what the birds want, they shut it off. They know they're locked up. They're coming in. That is key to success, is what I've noticed.
Well, I mean, honestly, you and I are going to agree on that 100%, because that's exactly my take on it as well. Usually whenever Joey and I are out, one is doing one thing, one is doing the other.
Yeah, we have a cadence.
And it's one of those things is you read the birds. You cannot do the same thing for every group of birds that come in. Now, and this is one thing for whenever we go to Wisconsin, is I want to know, can we hammer on the birds? Do we have to sweet talk them? Do we have to lay low with them? Do we have to just take it easy and let them do their thing?
Yeah, I don't know either. Because
it's further north. I've always heard educated birds, don't call, don't do this. But that's what Travis, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I don't think you can go wrong with that. I'm also a firm believer, if you're where the birds want to be,
they're going to land anyway.
It doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you're not out dancing around in the spread,
Right.
Well, and that's one thing with me is I'm a 100-yard in caller. I am not one of those Hail Mary type things. I alternate between my whistle, my Drake whistle, and I'll do, you guys have both heard me. I just just that real light, but we got one guy in our group that he can hammer away, but when they get close, man, he scares them off. You know what I'm talking about. But I'll get him in there and I'll do that low rolling feed chuckle, or I'll do like a little couple chirps here and there, and I'll get on that Drake whistle and really get that roll in there. I can get birds to land, and you guys have both seen I can get birds to land, but 100 yards out more, I don't even pick up my calls, because if their heads aren't down and they're not looking our direction, I just don't even bother.
I think if you can get their attention with the calls, get them down in, that's whenever the spread is.
It plays a key role.
Vital.
It plays a vital role into the success. And the concealment with the camouflage that you're wearing, with just everything. I think staying hidden, not pie facing,
yeah,
because that's huge. And nothing against new guys, but
they want to look up. But
everybody wants to watch what's happening, and it's great and it's cool. But you miss the best shows when you're staying hidden.
Yep.
Hell,
it's kind of a catch-22, because when the birds come in, we all put our heads down. You're not seeing them working. You're catching them on the tail, and you got one person that's kind of ducked down, looking around, trying to see where they're at, what to call, what to do. Like one guy in our group, he's like, "Hey, get on that feed chuckle, or get on that," and generally he's like, "Joey, get on this. Joey, get on this," and I'm never looking up.
Yeah.
And the problem is I like to be able to see what the birds are doing in order to work them. But the problem is, though, it's like, the guy generally on the one side that's on the back end of it, he can generally kind of take a peek. Mm-hmm. Where I'm sitting on the opposite side, generally on the swing side, so I can't look up. So I'm just calling almost calling blindly half the time because I know what it needs to do. Like if the Drake whistle's working, I'll try to get into that a little bit. But the problem is I can't see because normally I have my hood on. I have my head down. I'm trying to peek up, but over the brim of my hat to try to keep my face hidden. It does become difficult. So you have to trust your guys and your blind. And
a lot of it has to do with the different species of birds that's
definitely.
there.
Like teal, you can only talk to them for a second, and you got to stop.
Well, they're going to bug out quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're either going to flare.
They're either
going
to flare in and land, and they're going to bug out.
Yeah, and they're fast.
Mallards and gadwall are similar.
Caddies are more skittish, though.
See, I'm gonna have to disagree.
Well, like whatever time I see them, where we go, they just bust through, and if they land, they light up, they land, and they take back off again.
That was my first duck. Was a gadwall.
Yeah, his first duck was a gaddy.
I think gadwalls are the dumbest puddle ducks.
I don't have the experience, but I will tell you, my first duck came through. The gadwall group of them came flying through. This dummy circled back around, flared up right above me.
I wasn't there for that, but I remember you texting me.
Yeah, if I missed that shot, I probably would have retired right there.
Well, hey, there's a lot of times that I'm like, man, has this thing even got any steel in it? Because I don't hit nothing.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, so everybody anybody that hunts has a kryptonite bird. My kryptonite bird is the wood duck. Every time I've shot one of I want to mount one. I finally got one last year after years and years of hunting. I've shot a bunch of them. Like I shot a beautiful wood duck down in Oklahoma, and two of them come in right at first light, and Ray was there, and I fucking hammered this bird, and I'm like, oh, finally I got my wood duck. I blew out the back feathers.
Just
couldn't mount
disintegrated.
it. Yeah, I blew out the back feathers, and I was devastated. And I ended up getting two, but I got a hen and a drake that day, and I shot that green wing. Remember, I plowed him off the water.
I know they're more common down by you, aren't they?
Wood ducks?
Yep.
Well, there's a lot of them up here, too.
Yeah, there's a lot. You just got to get them early season. Like, so when season starts, we got the first weekend. That's all you'll see for a first, about week and a half. As soon as we get that real hard cold snap, they're gone. And they disappear.
And that's where identification really comes in because, early teal season, you got a lot of wood ducks mixed in with them.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
If you can't identify how they fly and what they do and how they're paired up and things of that nature, could potentially get yourself in a bind.
That's where I'm at with it. So that's why I'm fortunate enough to have guys like Joey I hunt with.
Yeah.
My other buddy Brian, I'm sure you'll meet him eventually. Mm-hmm. Both the callers, they both let me know. I just keep my head down. They tell me when to shoot, and I have a blast, right?
He does too, man. And actually, the first couple times when we went out goose hunting, it was a little rough because he was, he was pie facing, and he was. But then once he got the hang of it, I said, dude, look, we went duck hunting one day. I said, don't shoot this bird. Travis, don't shoot. And he didn't. And then the next bird came in. I mean, you pilled that fucking bird, man.
Yeah.
And then Billy came up with it. He's like, I think I got them. I'm like, no, Travis got that. We were up at that public hunt.
Yep.
And then this bird come in, and Billy, he has a Mossberg 20, and he fanned on it. I saw it because I didn't even shoot because it was coming from the right side. I was sitting on the left, because the way I shoot on the left side. And Billy's like, I got that bird. I'm like, no, you didn't. Travis got that bird, and he just laid this bird out, dude. I mean, the thing flipped backwards. I mean, he pilled it. There was literally feathers floating in the air.
Nice.
Billy's like, I think I got them. I'm like, no, you didn't. Because Billy's the one that likes the every shot. He's our every shot guy. Yeah, I think hammered that.
I think another thing that makes it bird identification is very, very important in any season, but especially whenever you're starting to get close to your bag limit. Mm-hmm. You've got to know what your bag limits are for certain species, because if you're only allowed 4 mallards,
and you're sitting at 3,
and a group's coming in, like you got to know what you're shooting at.
Yep. Well, like me, I always have it to shoot the hen like we did down in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I had to shoot pretty the rest of the day. And when you're trying to identify a bird from a drake or a hen, that gets difficult, especially when you got birds, elevating down. Like when we were in Oklahoma, we were at this little guide hunt. These birds are like literally come from nowhere and they're elevating. They're 200-300 feet up and they're just spiraling in. And it gets real hard to identify, especially a drake and a hen. When the sun's in your face, you're looking up. You have to know pretty quick. But like that pintail I shot, that one that came through, everybody was like, oh, what was that? I just hammered it. I mean, I knew it wasn't a mallard, so I knew I was good. And I wish I would have got that mounted, by the way. Like, I still kick myself in the ass for that.
Had a decent little sprig.
About 6 inch, 6 inch probably.
Wasn't nothing crazy, but I mean,
It was a good looking bird, though. The coloring on it was just, well, that bubblehead, I wish I would have kept that.
you probably should have.
That thing was beautiful.
It was probably, I mean, I don't
Probably one of the prettiest bubbleheads I've seen. So
I don't like buffleheads personally, but
the coloring on that was,
it was a good looking drake.
yeah. So your first bird was,
You can keep going.
I don't know what that says.
It's not IDing your birds.
Oh, okay. So just wait a second so we can go back in so I can cut. One thing that, we get asked is how do we identify the birds? And, a lot of that comes with time. But the one thing I would do is I have this little plaque in my room. And the hardest thing about identifying a bird for me is when they're coming right at you. Like when they're going left to right, you can tell by their tail, you can tell by the way their necks are, you can tell when they're going across, but when they're coming in, because like especially if you're on a spread, sun's behind you and they're coming in your spread. That's when I find it's hardest to identify birds because you're looking at them straight on. What tips would you give? I mean, Travis, seeing how we hunt, we know the birds pretty quick, but Ray, Travis, what do you guys think? Like, how would you identify? I mean, mallards are pretty simple, but if you're getting into like shovelers, pintails, widgeons, that kind of stuff, I mean, how would you guys know how to identify? I know what I do, but I shoot first and ask later. No, I'm kidding. I really don't do that.
So here's
Conservation, don't pay attention.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with how long you've been doing it, and how many birds that you've actually seen work in the field, and but how I've grown to do it is notice their flight patterns. Okay, teal will ball up and they dart, look like F-16s, just going crazy.
Yeah, they're harriers. Yeah.
Okay, then you've got wood ducks are usually in pairs.
Yep.
Okay, and they fly fairly close to what they're still darting in and out. Okay, I still have a trouble at a distance with a wood duck and a shoveler.
Yeah, they do fly very similar.
Because they still pair up.
Yeah.
Okay. Then if you get shovelers that are with mallards, you still see the green head.
Yep.
Okay.
It's true.
The pintails, I can usually see either by the sprig or their long necks.
When they're coming at you, they kind of put their head down a little different than like a mallard does. Yeah, I agree.
Then you got the mallard and gadwall, similar, because they're basically identical birds.
I look at their feet because their feet
coloration.
hang different. Like when you're looking at a gadwall.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because when the mallard's coming in, their feet kind of hang out to the side a little bit, but gaddies are more underneath so when they're facing me. But other than that, you can kind of tell by the way they fly because generally the gaddies are a little smaller. But
Okay. I mean,
that's how I look at
personal
it.
experiences differ. Not everybody's going to see the same thing. You and I can look at the same thing and pick out different aspects.
I agree.
But
Kinda like in the
that's what I
Army
did.
vehicles.
But a general rule of thumb is you can have a pretty good idea of what the bird is 200 or 300 yards out because you can see it coming. But you are not even going to shoot at it until it gets within 120 feet.
Yeah, 50 yards generally.
And if your eyes can't pick up certain things at that range, then you probably shouldn't be shooting at it.
I agree.
And that's the thing, and that's where people get in trouble is they just start sky blasting birds, and you don't know what you're shooting at. And then that goes. We could segue off of that for a long time about shooting of people sky busting and shooting swing birds and all that stuff. But
Don't get me
we
started.
won't go
on
that. But that right there, as far as IDing birds, is have a pretty good idea. Get them close enough so you can see what you're actually shooting, and kind of go from there. Everybody makes mistakes as the season goes on. You've got a little bit more leeway as far as a species you can shoot, but when it's a specified season, that's when you really got to key in on what you're shooting at.
Yeah, teal season is hard here in Missouri because you can't shoot. I still think you should be able to shoot wood ducks during teal. I'm still a firm advocate of that. But in the same sense, I understand why. But it's just one of those things where, with the season's like a month, month and a half out.
It's actually been proposed
I know it has
is
been.
to have wood duck correspond with early teal season because there's a lot of wood ducks that are being shot.
Yeah. And it's not that they're doing, they generally roll in the same group as a teal. So even like you'll get a group of them, either they're a little bit before or a little after. I've actually shot into a group of teal, and on the way out, I'm seeing wood ducks on the back end. I'm like, well, what the hell with some teal? Because the wood ducks are a little bit slower, the teal, but a lot of times if like where teal like to hang out, they like to hang out with a little bit more open water. Well, that's where the wood ducks like to fly. So you every now and again, you'll get one in there. I'm like, oh shit, that's a wood duck in with a group of teal. And, you know, you're shooting teal, it's kind of a crapshoot. They're moving so fast, you kind of just shoot into the group sometimes because of the way they ball up. And that's another thing, what part of identification is how they come in. You know, mallards are very kind of spaced out. They do ball up, but they're a little more spaced out. Teal, man, they look like mosquitoes when they're coming in. There's like a ball of them. And, you know, next season, because now teal season's over, but next season we'll get you out on a teal hunt. You know, I know it's bow season, you know, coming up, but the hard thing is identifying birds. But I mean, once you get used to it, like now it just becomes second nature. Like when I'm in, if I've got a hen and, you know, a hen mallard in there, and I know I can't shoot another hen mallard, I look over at Ray. He's been with me. I'm like, all right, we're shooting pretty, because that means we shoot pretty because the mallards, you know, the drakes, the males have more coloring, so you can kind of pick out. It's like, all right, well, got boys, I'm shooting pretty, you know, and you know, it's just how it works. I mean, but you trust your group too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about conservation. So, you know, with an avid hunter like myself, I have pros and cons with conservation, only because here in Missouri we have some issues with it, you know, which, I mean, all states have their issues, but we have some pretty big conservation. Most people, and I think you guys can agree, hunters are the biggest conservationists. I mean, we really are. Like, you know, you have your young kids that make everybody look bad, understandable, but, you know, I'm a big conservationist. I don't like to kill anything outside of season. I don't even like to hit a raccoon, you know, in summertime.
Well,
I feel guilty about it, so.
Without hunters, there is no conservation.
Yeah, good,
There isn't.
good call.
Okay? You know, the federal government gives states in different areas money for certain things. But if the states don't regulate hunting and hunting seasons, i.e. licenses and tags, things of that nature, you don't have the money going into that. So, but as far as the conservation side, the waterfowl aspect of it, if I'm going to go to snow geese, just in general.
Oh, God.
Just snow geese.
Yeah.
They are a nuisance bird of the waterfowl, okay? They are the silver or Asian carp of the waterfowl world, okay?
We got to understand, but there's a reason why, though, because normal Canada gooses or Canadian geese, they bite off at the ground level. Snow geese will bite and pull the root out, and then they shit on it, and then it just kind of destroys the whole crop. So, you know, Canadian geese, they will just bite off at the thing. The plant can still grow, but snow geese, on the other hand, they pull everything out, and then
That's
shit
cool.
just tears
I
everything
just
out.
learned something. But
I read that in a Missouri Conservationist.
Right,
Like,
but and I
That's
and
where my
I don't
faction
know of
comes
the
from.
and I don't know of the exact numbers, but getting a farmer to let you deer hunt
impossible.
is a whole lot harder than asking a farmer to let you kill every single goose that comes on his property, because a deer, they don't eat a whole lot. They do, but they don't eat a whole bunch. But, and I'm not sure the exact number, I read it, but a flock of snow geese can come in and can, within probably a week or so, can wipe out like a whole winter wheat field or rye field.
Well, we went the one time, remember, there was 40, 50 K sitting across there, and they were so loud we couldn't hear anything.
Yep.
And because the problem is they grew up so readily. You know what I mean? They just, when they land, they all land in the same spot, and they just piggyback each other constantly. One will fly up, another group will come in, and they grow so, I mean, they're locusts. I mean, they really are.
Yeah, but, you know, just as far as conservation in general, I think that getting the youth involved,
Safely.
getting them out, teaching them the right way to do things. Now, and there's many right ways to do things, don't get me wrong, but a way that is safe, humane, and make it actually a sport and a love for the outdoors. That's the main thing. And conservation can go 200 different directions.
Oh, yeah.
On how they want to. You know, you've got the people that are totally against everything, okay, and then the ones that are only for what they believe in. Well, if it's legal, you're not hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Go do your thing. Be happy. Live your life.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's so many people out here, wanting to either conform, be a sheep, or
Sheeple.
or you can run out, be a trailblazer, and do your own thing. So
Nobody at this table right now is not a trailblazer. We just kind of all do our own thing, and we take pride in that. Sometimes we join together and do evil shenanigans together.
Just have a good time.
And I was telling Ray about when you said whenever your old boss Mike or whatever, what's the guy's name? Your old neighbor,
Which
Missy.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, every time I see Travis, he's drinking. He goes, and Travis goes, I don't even know one person that out drink me. And I'm sitting there with a beer, man. He's like, this guy. And I'm like, no, I can't. He's like, dude, you drink shots on top of it. I'm like, eh.
Nice.
But I mean, yeah, Travis is a new good addition to our group. I think he's going to fit in well. He's one of those people that kind of have our personality. We fuck around a lot, but in the same sense, dude knows how to hunt.
One thing I've noticed about conservation in my short one season, public land hunting areas having that 1 p.m. cutoff. Mm-hmm. Them birds get trained to that, is what I feel. Right? So
yeah.
I think there's some opportunities there.
Well, I think we could change some things up in conservation because the birds know at 12:58 they're flying. You've been sitting there all day long, nothing. You'll have 20,000 birds in the air.
Well, we've witnessed that.
No, I'm just saying.
Several
We remember the
times,
one hen. We're all sitting there in that field, that flooded corn, and that one hen, and all the birds were just spiraling in. And what's his name? Got that one shoveler.
Yeah.
He's nuked that fucking bird, man. But so one question I have is, and it's kind of directed towards both of you. Our group is pretty tight. You guys are meeting for the first time today, but to be invited into our group, it's like a family thing for us. Ray got me back into the hunting world, and then Billy, he's Billy, but really it's just and my buddy Will. We have a small, pretty tight knit group. I look for people in my group when I want to hunt. I don't just go for skill. I go for. We're going to be sitting long hours in the field. Old recruiting videos. Everyone said long hours in the field, but when I look for people, I want people I want to be able to hang out with and that I trust and that I can say, hey, look, this is where we're at. That's what I look for in people. I don't give a shit whether you can shoot or not, but when you're the new to the group, sometimes you have to take some direction, Travis. Because he's like, what do I do? And which I appreciate the fact that he was asking, what do I do? When you got me in with Jones, and then one time we went out there, and I knew what to do, but I hadn't done it so long. I didn't know, when you're conforming to a group, it's generally hard. So I just look for people I can hang out with all day. But if you guys had to pick, say you were adding another member to the group, somebody that I've never met before, none of us have met before other than you or whatever, what would you say the key thing to be in our group? Because our group's pretty tight. What would you say were the key factors you guys would look for to join our group? Just our group, not any group, just our group. What would you say your key factors would that be? Let's go with Travis because he's new.
So
he's the noob.
My key factor would be someone that's not going to get us in trouble, right? You experienced last season when we were up goose hunting. Agents will just roll up on you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with anyone who I'm going to have to worry about getting a ticket for.
Fair enough.
Number two, like you said, someone you can sit in the blind with because there's going to be some times, man, you're sitting there, you're not seeing shit. And then you start thinking about deer season. Like, well, man, I guess I could be comfy in my deer blind right now. But, just someone you can mess around with during the day to just make your day that much better. Those, I think, would be my two key factors. Whether or not they can shoot, whatever, as long as they're as long as they're not shooting at anyone near the blind or blowing anyone's ears out, I'm good.
And safety, making sure you're not pointing barrels and doing all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's.
So for me, everything Travis just said. The only thing that I would add to that is that, and I've been this way ever since I was a wee little lad. Was
So last week.
Yeah, last week. Is that. if you're starting to kind of cap out in the group that you're in, the knowledge base, the decoy setup, the shooting, if you're starting to cap out and be kind of like the guy in that group, it's okay to bring somebody in that's better.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay? Because if you end up, and this goes for anything in life, just really, but if you're the best person in that circle, you need to find another circle to hang out with.
Yeah, I agree.
Always try to level up. And that would be the only thing that I would add, was that if somebody comes along that does fit all that other criteria, but is a banger on the duck calls and can just shoot his ass off, I think that that's a good person to add. And I think as this thing goes, you need to come down to Oklahoma
Dude, yeah, he does.
on the next trip. And I'm going to round up some of my boys down there, and we're going to
Good,
go out
big,
and put on
big
a banger.
Andy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, so I'm fairly knowledgeable in it, but he has a couple friends, man, that just I sit there like I'm new to the game, like, and I know I can identify. There's one, Andy in particular, man. That dude, I mean, sometimes like we'll you know, he's always very good about conversing with you. Hey, we want to put the spread this way. We want to do this. And I've asked him a few times. I've hunted him with like once or twice, but I've asked him, well, why are we doing it? He's like, oh, man, let me tell you. He'd be like, well, the wind's coming from and then all of a sudden he breaks it down, and you're just like, shit, I was just going to throw some decoys out in the field. You know, being honest, I mean, I know the standard J, and I know all that stuff. He's like, no, we want this hook to be this way. We want it opposite of the way the wind's blowing. Why? He said, well, because the way the sun is. And dude, it's some stuff he comes up with. And then when he doesn't really call a lot, though. That's the funny thing. He doesn't really.
If the birds aren't flying, he will really get on
Yeah.
the call and try to get something to happen.
But if the birds are moving, he just doesn't do much.
But I will tell you, putting as much thought as he does into it, I love him to death, Andy. I do. But
We should have him on.
it's beat us bad before of trying to put too much thought into
Oh,
it.
we were at the water plant. It did. So we put way too much in it. But we also missed the group of 8 that came in. There were 6 of us shooting, and not one bird fell, too. That was a little bit our fault, too.
I still don't know how that goose disappeared.
Okay, so real quick story with this. So Ray hammers this goose. We go out there. It was still kind of alive, and we put another shot in it. We go throw it in this thing was dead. He wrung its neck, dead. We go put it in the blind. We were going, like, he kind of hit some of the decoys. Like, hey, let's go out and let's go move these decoys. Came back, the bird was gone. We had no feathers, nothing. We couldn't find it.
Yeah.
We put it in the blind with us. We walked out, literally moved, 2 minutes worth of decoys. We had a couple were knocked
Something
down.
like that.
Maybe adjusted a few, like 2 minutes. Both of us out there, came back, goose was gone.
Yeah.
Didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. We're only 15 feet away from this fucking blind.
I mean, it wasn't a greater Canada goose. It was a lesser, so considerably smaller. But
It was gone.
My first duck did that. I found it. It was gone for a second. I looked down and I'd heard something walking behind me, but there was a bunch of birds working. So I didn't want to move. You know, Brian's like, keep your head down. So I got my head down. And I could hear something. I'm like, man, is that a coyote or something that smells this duck, you know? Didn't think nothing of it. We get up, I shoot. We knocked a few birds down. I look back down and I'm like, where'd my first duck go, you know? Well, I hear something back over there behind me about 6, 7 feet going on this big brush pile. That
Was that
freaking, that duck, yeah, same thing. When I grabbed it, he's like, you know,
walked out,
break
tried
his
to
neck, make sure.
buried itself up in the brush pile.
Yep.
Remember I got that double shot of that golden eye. Remember we were down at Sooner, and I double shot. So 1 came in, 2 came in. I pounded both, and both landed. Ray and I looked for those birds every bit of 20 minutes. Because people don't realize with ducks, if you shoot a duck and it has a little bit of breath left, it'll dive under the water, grab onto a stick, and kill itself. I don't know if you know that, Travis. They will. They'll dive in, they'll grab onto something, they'll go under a rock, and I don't know why they do it. I double shot these. I mean, I folded both those birds, too. Double shot. We looked for
Gone.
gone. Never. I mean, they landed probably 10 feet, 15 feet in front of you,
And
they were gone.
It was
Couldn't
easy.
find them.
It was an easy retrieve.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, and they were gone. We never found them. I mean, and that's happened. I've had that happen where a mallard. I've shot a mallard and it was done, and literally went to go find it. Went under the ice. You know, it's cold out. Went under the ice and never saw it again. Happens more than once. They like to dive.
Yeah. So
Can we take a second? I'm about ready to piss myself. Like, literally. I've got to piss. Like, I mean, I'm literally like toe
Make a
curling.
great video, Joey.
And we can stop for a second. This isn't a rat. We're not Dr. Dre at a Diddy party. Welcome back, guys. I had to drain the main vein there. I have been holding it for quite a while. Sorry about that. It's the main one. It's not my jugular. Right in the jug. So on that note, I had to utilize the latrine, as we used to say. Travis, you made a comment about how it starts the revolution when one person in the blind has to go. I don't think people realize that when you're like, especially when you're in water, field hunts are okay, but when you're in water, having to take a piss, Mr. Underwear Cutter, by the way, how hard it is just to take a piss. Like, because a lot of times the birds are moving, and actually most of the time the birds aren't moving, but as soon as you drop your waders, you'll get 3 to lead in your spread. Not literally, but metaphorically. But no, I mean, seriously, think about this. You got to take off your waders, your coat. You got to take off, depending on where your coat is. You got to get everything out there, but you can't pull it all the way down because you will have some shrinkage, especially when it's really cold out. So, as we always say, 4 inches of waders and 3 inches of dick. But and don't piss into the wind, especially on the water. I made that mistake once in a hurry, more than once, especially when you're on the river or on open water. It's kind of a rough go. You guys have all had the experience, Ray. My first river hunt was with you, and we drank a few beers the night before.
A few.
And we were on a little, small, skinny island. And we were, too. Remember how small that was? And you're like, I got to go, like now.
Yeah.
You just ran out.
So I think...
clunk, clunk, clunk with your waders on.
I think, ultimately, if you got to go, you got to go. And what I try to do is if one guy doesn't have to go, hey, that's fine. You hang out and you kind of keep watch. We'll go out there. You do whatever you got to do to make a business happen. There's no really rhyme or reason or a method of how you do it. You always say, 4 inches of clothing, 3 inches of dick. I don't know what you're working with. I don't have that problem. So...
You only got 1 inch. You just lay down and pee.
Bingo.
What I've noticed this last season,
Because you drink beer in the blind
I do love me some beer.
on private ground, not public.
Every time I leave the blind, that's when the birds come. So
Anytime I light
I
a
get my
cigarette,
buddy
anytime you eat food, it always happens that way.
every time. Whoever's running the hunt, doing the calls, Travis, they're coming, get down. I'm taking a piss. I got to figure out a way to hit the dirt. Make
That's
sure
not
these
the
guys
only
can
moon
shoot the
that's in the
birds.
sky.
Yeah, without peeing all over myself. That's been a
That
fun
happened last
problem to
time.
figure out for me this year.
Last year that happened. Remember, you're like, I got to go. You were holding it. As soon as you did, 3 geese came in and we
Yep.
pulled it. I'm like, shit.
Never fails. That's my luck.
Me, it's like, it's anytime so my biggest, in the blind, everybody has snacks. What's your go-to snack? Mine's sunflower seeds. Give me some freaking dill pickle sunflower seeds or some of those Taco Supreme or nacho, whatever those ones. Dude, what's your go-to snack in the blind? Let's be real, because I have mine. It's that and White Monster energy drinks. That's my go-to.
A snack?
And honey buns with iced honey buns.
Oh, boy.
Those are and fruit snacks if it's going to be a long day.
My first hunt, I think, was with you guys and Billy.
And we ate a lot of
And he
sunflower seeds.
brought, what did he bring? Deer burger. He cooked us deer sausage for breakfast. It was like, this is the life coming from deer hunting where you're sitting up in a tree. You don't want to make any noise. You don't want to move.
That leads me into what I love
Penis.
about.
Oh.
I do not like penis. About that is
He's going to up camera
Get in
like,
there.
jeez. Seriously?
you
don't
bring
like-
you a griddle, you bring you a dozen eggs, you get some white bread, some sausage, make a sandwich. Dude, ain't nothing like it. And that's what I was saying. Like,
Or you pre-mix it in like a milk jug. That's what we do.
yeah,
Pre-mix
but
it
there's
and
so
shake it
much
up.
more. There's so much more that you can do
Duck hunting or waterfowl.
in a duck blind that you cannot do while you're deer hunting.
Absolutely.
Now, maybe on a high fence Texas ranch, you might
Right.
you might be able to
Never
do
had
that.
the privilege of hunting those.
Neither have I. So, but yeah, just I don't know. I don't think that I can run it down to just one favorite snack. I don't know. Honey buns, frosted donuts, sunflower seeds.
That's all something you don't get in a deer stand.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Well,
I've got,
sunflower seeds, I guess.
and I got to have my chew.
Yeah. Beef jerky.
Yeah, there's beef jerky.
We call them shit sticks. As soon as you eat one or two of them, you got to take a shit.
Yeah, usually. But that's pretty much what we...
But people that are listening, you don't understand what goes into waterfowling. I mean, like a lot of times we're going someplace, like say we go up to the farm or whatever, or we got like today. There's a lot of prep work that comes with hunting. Like right now, before we leave for Wisconsin here in a little bit, when we go back to my place, I've got all this technology that we bring with us just so we can do the things we're doing here. I've got it spread all out, batteries, everything, packs, everything going. But like just even like when we go on just a public ground hunt, you got to have all your decoys. Our day starts at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're just getting out there and we're just rolling out there and sitting doing whatever. Most people don't realize that most avid hunters are very dedicated. They're very dedicated individuals. Like we know when the birds. I mean, how many times have you tracked the bird tracker for this week? I mean, I've probably done it every day once or twice, seeing where the birds are at, but. Just the work that's involved in hunting is just insane, and the time that we spend doing it.
Well, you don't do anything in life to fail, okay?
Yeah.
And that's just the general rule of thumb
Except for golf.
That's one of those things that you can fail at and just still enjoy your time. But you go out there and you do not want to fail, okay? You want to go out there and have the best success possible. But you're going out there and you want to make sure that you do your due diligence in order to make sure that you are successful, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, all these different things are in place. You check the barometric pressure, you check the wind direction, you check where the jet stream is.
Check what time sunrise is.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Or if there's a full moon the night before,
yeah.
or if there's, whatever.
And there's a lot of things that go into it, and your 5 or 6 hours of hunting from daylight till noon or 1 o'clock, most people that are just along for the ride don't get to experience the other 15 or 16 hours.
Yeah.
That actually goes into, now that's just a day. I mean, I don't know. We talk on the phone all the time, but leading up to our hunts.
We're checking weather, wind conditions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for the week out.
And bouncing decoy ideas and saying, hey, well, I think we only need to put out a couple dozen decoys. He's like, I don't know.
Let's take 3 dozen and let's pot them up as opposed to a J or whatever.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Just how we're even going to do our spread.
And I don't know if there's necessarily one right or wrong. I think
but here's the thing that what you don't understand is even if we do all that work and we get out there and the birds are flaring up and they're not landing or they're not looking, we'll go out there and we'll spend another 30 minutes rearranging the spread just to kind of get something better.
That's one of my favorite things I've done this last season is you get birds working in and no one's looking up. You got one caller, everything's going right, and then the caller's like, man, the bird's flared up.
Sure.
Then you go out and spend a half hour.
Then you're going out and readjusting the spread. And then the next set of birds that come in, everyone's shooting, right? Like that's
right.
One of the coolest parts is
that doesn't always happen. Sometimes
I mean, it's the wild thing about that is that you really 100% don't know why that bird flared. Did they not like what they seen?
Yep.
In the blind? Was somebody
looking up?
Did they have their blind bag flipped open? Did they have their honey bun wrappers out?
Right.
That was glaring? Was the spread wrong? So you're constantly always trying to make changes to make it better.
Yep.
And
but there's not, it could be, the wind could be blowing a different direction the way we thought they were going to flare up.
No,
I've had it where, we got the sun behind us, the wind's behind us, and we're facing south, north, and we're expecting the birds to, I don't want to say because you're going to laugh, but come right into our face. And I knew that was coming. But you know what I mean? They were going to flare up right there.
His favorite part of the day.
Yeah. And
morning protein.
I think my favorite thing is let's just give one more pass. Give one more pass.
God, dude, that is the most annoying thing in the world because we give them one more, just one more.
Look, I'm telling you,
it happens all the time.
But as a waterfowl hunter that actually that takes pride in their spread, working the birds in, they take a lot of pride, regardless if you kill any of them or not, is to get them to want to dedicate to landing in your spread. Okay.
Yep.
Well, if you're trying to give them that one last pass and they've tried it a few different times, well, you're like, man, we should have shot those birds.
Yeah, we've had more conversation about why we should have shot those birds.
Yeah.
Just like 2 years ago when we were out there and those mallards came over and they looked like they were going to hook and we should have shot them.
No,
and they
you're
just
right.
and we thought they were going to hook because they were kind of doing this back and forth wavy thing. And we're sitting there, it's like we're waiting, and we missed the one group before that, but we're like they're going to swing. We could have shot them. They never even turned. They just kept flying.
And then birds that you think are going to do it right on public ground get out there and they're making a wide hook to get right with the wind.
Somebody else
Shoot your swing birds.
Yeah, I hate
It
that.
happens. But look,
Yeah, more than I
that's the
actually
whole
meant.
point of conservation is people getting out in the wild doing the things.
Yep.
And the more we can get out and talk to people and not necessarily how to do things right, but how other people's view it as wrong, some things that they're doing is wrong. Okay? And maybe change the culture in it a little bit. And look, as long as people are out there enjoying it and they're doing it safely, ethically, ultimately, who cares? Go out and have your good time.
Yep.
I mean, some of my greatest moments in my life, other than my kid being born and other obvious things, is sometimes that sunrise in the morning. Like I have a picture of the sunrise, the big one we took in Oklahoma with that red sky, the coolest red sky I've ever seen my entire life was that morning out Sooner. And it's one of my favorite pictures. It's like we were out there and it was supposed to rain later that afternoon. And we get out there and we're sitting and remember the wind was just fucking whipping.
Yeah.
I mean, Sooner's always whipping, but this was like, remember our lips were so chapped when we left. It was bad. And it just all of a sudden you're sitting there, the sun's coming, and there's this beautiful sunrise. And it makes you just appreciate the fact you're out there. Because let's be real here, boys. Duck hunting and deer hunting is some of the most miserable hunting that we're possibly going to have.
Hey, some of the most...
The worst weather is the best hunting. And, you're out there, we're freezing. We get in those little erosion spots to just get out of the wind. And But it's just like you look around, you're hanging out with your friends. It's miserable.
Yeah,
I mean, it is literally miserable. And you get that one pass of birds, or you hear that one deer in there. It makes it all worthwhile.
Makes it all
It's like
worthwhile.
fishing.
Every time.
Yeah, it's like fishing. You get that one little bite, and now you want to fish for the rest of your life, or that one close shot with a golf ball. You just want to keep doing it. And and I'm lucky to have my friends with me. I mean, we're actually being polite because we're going to be doing this, but normally how we talk to each other is a lot different, a lot more uncouth. It's bad. But I mean, but the thing is though, that's the greatest part. You get to go home to your family, but you get to wake up, be miserable together. I mean, let's be real.
Well, my favorite things about duck hunting is, for the most part, you go out there. Yes, there's prep work, and you get out there.
A lot of work.
But you're usually home by noon. Deer hunting is just so much more work. But
Yeah, ask Travis's
I know,
wife.
I know that we have talked about what got you into hunting. All right, but do you know why or when I started duck hunting, or what got me?
Honestly,
into
no,
duck
I really don't.
hunting? Okay, when did you start? Just give me a time, a date, roughly. Or do you want me to tell you?
You can tell me. I mean, I had hunted when I was
November of 2012. You don't have to tell me. It's fine. You don't have to tell everybody. It's fine. I got it. So November of 2012. Do you know when the first time I started duck hunting was? My very first duck hunt, as where I went out, sit on the bank somewhere, put out decoys, and somebody was calling to try to get birds in. You know
like
when
a
that
week before that.
was? A couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
I hunted duck a little bit as a kid, but nothing like I
Right.
do now. But
And
yeah.
but you come out to hunt, and I said, hey, if we're going to hang out, it's pretty much what we're going to have to do. It's that time of year.
I didn't have a shotgun at that
No,
point.
you didn't, but we made it work. Okay, so I have two guys that played an instrumental role into getting me into waterfowling.
Robes.
No, he wasn't even one of them.
Really?
Yeah. He fell in right in line, but it wasn't. But
Old Muffy arches.
I think if we can get back and just remember the people, whether it's deer hunting, whether it's upland bird hunting, rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, it doesn't matter. If you can remember those guys or gals that got you started in things that you're passionate about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's ultimately, look, I have to find out a time to get my boy in to take the hunter safety course because for the life of him, he cannot sit in front of the computer long enough.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Okay, he can.
Okay, there we go.
If he's playing a game, but to stay focused on the hunter safety course, but I really want him to start enjoying some of this stuff with me.
He likes
How
going
old
with
is
Uncle
he?
Joey.
He's just turned 13.
Nice.
Well, here's the thing.
He really enjoys it, but he enjoys the highs.
Right.
Okay? But there's so many more lows
Oh, yeah.
that all those lows just keep you itching for that next high. Honestly, to hear me talk about it, you'd think I was a junkie.
Yeah, I was gonna say you sound like you're on drugs. Well, the thing is though, with your son, is that I'll never forget the first time he went out with us. Remember, your wife begged us to take him out, and we kept telling him, dude, like it's gonna be cold. I'm good. And we got out there. We weren't out there. Sun was coming up. I mean, literally, we're like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes past
Maybe.
shot light. He's like, I'm ready to go home, and Ray's like, go fuck yourself. We're not leaving. We just got here.
I did not tell him to go fuck himself.
No, I didn't say it literally. You told him that, but
Okay.
you were just like, "Go fuck yourself. We're not leaving." Because to get to the spot where we go to,
Because the older he gets, that's probably what's going to get said.
yeah, not now, but I just remember the look you gave him. I'm sitting in my little erosion spot, and he's laying face down because he was cold, like
laying
face
face
down,
down
curled up
in some
hood
grass.
on. Yeah,
And then we brought a camouflage blanket
for him
out
directly.
for him because I knew he was going to get cold. For him, I was like,
He
made
did
it.
too. He once the sun came out, he sucked it up. I'll
he
give
was
the
good.
kid credit. He did good.
Well, the birds started flying. He started seeing some highs of it. And then
Well, what people don't realize with waterfowling, unless you have like a private spot or you spend a shit ton of money on, there's days where you will do 4 or 5 hours of work and you won't take a single shot. Not a single shot. And that'll happen 2 or 3 times. And all of a sudden one day you get on the flight or you get on something.
be on fire.
Dude, I mean, I dream. I dream about hunting. Like you all do. I know you do. You get excited about it. But then when that like February 1st hits and there's no more birds to be shot, I get duckpression. Not depression, but duckpression. Because now I'm like, shit, I've got another 9 or 8.5 months before I can shoot birds again. And
Yeah,
I
and
get
it doesn't really go away till about in
August.
May-ish.
Mine's August.
And then things start kind of picking back up. And then
Gotta flock
August
the
time
heads.
frame, then you're like, holy shit. Next month, teal's season.
The deal
You know what I
season's
mean?
coming.
Season's the same down there in Oklahoma.
Roughly.
They're they're
Deer
towards
deer season
south.
here is what, September 15th?
September 15th for
Yeah.
archery. Yep.
See, in October 1st, it's there. So
Yeah, they're only about 2 weeks behind us on that, which is weird because you know how Missouri has the north, middle, and south zone.
For ducks, yeah.
For ducks, they're right on the south zone, but like they have like a weird. They actually start before south zone starts here. It's really weird because they're like a week into it before south zone starts, or real close to it. It's like because I know I always come out. I always go to your house in December right after the split. I always come out like December 15th or 16th.
I've got to
split.
check that again.
I got to see when the split
Because
is.
I think they might have either taken it out or shortened it. I'm not sure.
Well, because now we have a split now too now, and for a long time, Middle Zone has a split now. So
Yeah.
we have a week.
We'll have
split.
to see what it is. Like I said, I've just been so busy with
But
work.
we're gonna be
I
in
haven't-
Kansas during the split this year. Because remember we talked about that. We're gonna be out in western Kansas this year on the split.
Well, just travel south and we'll go.
So we'll find out. Hey, I meant to ask you. I asked you to find some place in Arkansas and find an outfit to get us on.
Haven't gotten a return phone calls yet.
Okay, I'm seeing stuff on Facebook. So
But I'm not going to call 47 different places.
I just shoot emails. I just go to their sites and shoot emails. And what I do is I cut and copy it and just
You would do
click
that.
it. Fucking right, I do, man. If I can, hey, it doesn't matter if I send it 100 times. What did Uncle Ted used to say? I don't care if you hitting on girls 10 times, you only get one take home. At least you're hitting 100%.
Oh, you're right. So,
Penis.
no.
Just like, ugh, like no.
So when it comes to 2 3/4, 3-inch, or 3.5-inch shells, what do you prefer?
So I learned 3.5. So I snow goose hunted also last year.
That's good.
3.5 for snow geese for sure. 3-inch is what I preferred for everything else because I'm not a great shot. I literally
Actually, Travis, I take that. Dude, don't say that. You are actually a pretty good shot. I will give you credit. Like normally when first people go out and they go out and shoot birds, they fucking whiff. I mean, they don't know what to do. Your second shot, you killed a gaddy.
yeah.
And when that day we were out up at the lake, you weren't missing.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, you're not a great shot. Like, okay, but you still gotta learn, motherfucker, you're a pretty good shot. Like, I'll give you credit, especially when you're hunting birds. Now, I think teal would give you some problem only because you're used to
I've
that
yet
long
to see
draw.
one. I have not seen a
Dude,
teal
when you
yet.
see them,
If I have seen them,
you
I
have
didn't
seen
know
them.
it, you know.
Well, we remember we were down in the pool when the ducks were fine. We were going goose hunting. You know that one that came buzzing by. Like, I didn't even see that. That was a teal.
Oh, okay.
Them fast fuckers. That's
Yeah.
a teal.
Yep.
And then he had I don't know what. I don't actually. It was so fast. I kind of caught it as I was turning the opposite direction. It was a fast bird.
Yeah.
It sounded like a blue wing because you know that little hairier sound. That's what it sounded like. But I was turning my head to the left as it was coming right, so I only caught it. But that one that buzzed by, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck that was a teal.
Nice.
That's how they'll buzz. I mean, they buzz you, and then they'll do a long loop, and they'll come back. You got to be ready.
Yeah. I want the most power with my shot as possible. Give me the best chance.
So whenever I'm hunting,
Is the way my brain works.
yeah, so I'm hunting teal. I generally run 2 3/4 when I'm hunting teal, only because I want that slower speed. Because I you know what I'm saying. I generally lead too far ahead with teal because you know when you're doing that swing, I'll use 2 3/4. Everything else, I'm 3. Now if I'm going on a big goose hunt, I'll run a 3.5. But other than that, I'll run 3.5 BB. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going for big geese, graders, but most of the time 3 inches is my go-to.
I was honestly for a long time I was thinking exactly what you was until I started doing a little bit of research on not what you do is not necessarily wrong. Hell, shoot 3.5 for dove. I don't care.
Right.
But
if you want to have any bird
and there was a guy that actually was hunting geese with a 3-inch number 2's 20 gauge and just hammering the geese.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was that? Do I know him?
No.
Oh, I was thinking it was the the other caller with his son, dude. I'll never forget that.
Nope. He is prominent in the waterfowl world in central Missouri.
Did I probably know who he is? But
I don't
never
know
met
if I
him.
can.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I just know I like 2 3/4 because I like the lower, the lower feet per second when I'm going teal.
Yeah. So
But everything else is 3.
I honestly
3.5 for big
one
birds.
the cost of 3.5-inch shells versus 3-inch shells.
Fucking atrocious.
The extra kick for those. Obviously, whenever we're snow goose hunting, I don't like that because just the sheer amount of punishment that your shoulder takes.
Ugh.
Because if it doesn't get seated just right, hey,
Oh, you feel it.
you're gonna feel it, right?
You feel it,
And then
yeah.
if you shoot an automatic versus a pump versus a over and under or a single shot, whatever, you're gonna get different feelings from each of those. You know, if it's gas driven or inertia driven or however you're gonna set up, bro. No,
I mean,
I'll never shoot
I
another 3-inch,
shoot.
3.5-inch gun.
So I have a TriStar Viper G3 and I have a Benelli Super Black Eagle. That's what I have. And I just bought the Super Black Eagle. I just sighted it in like last week. Thing kicks like a fucking mule. Like it really does. But I was wearing short sleeves and I wasn't paying attention that much. I mean, I was paying attention, but I like it. Shoots very true. But I mean, if you guys had to pick a shotgun, what you guys hunt with? I mean, what do you guys hunt with normally? I mean, I know you're going to be hunting mine this weekend because, transport, but.
I'm not really brand specific.
I mean, what are you shooting though, like right now?
Oh boy, I don't know. I honestly do not know what brand my shotgun is.
Is that the one you dropped in the water? Is that the same? I'm not saying that to be smart.
No,
but is that the same
that one that I dropped in the
That was a
water.
Beretta, wasn't it?
Yep, and used as an oar was a Beretta. Hey,
It worked, dude.
I think
All right, so quick hunting story. So we're down Indiana, which we're talking about our first time hunting, one of our first time hunting. It was that Saturday after I bought everything. We're out there, doing everything, and all of a sudden he's sitting in the boat, I'm sitting in the other, I'm taking a picture. I was like, here, boom. And like a few minutes later, he's like, "Where's my shotgun?"
yeah, I had to fish it out of the lake.
Yeah,
Nice.
luckily it was shallow, but yeah. So I mean, what do you shoot, Trav?
To be honest, I have no idea. I
You know,
walked to Bass
you
Pro.
guys not.
I
do
got
not know what
into
your
duck
shotguns
hunting.
are.
You guys said we're going duck hunting. You finally convinced me. I didn't
did.
even have a 12 gauge I can hunt with. I've got a home defense 12 gauge. I don't have one. I use rifle for deer. I went to Bass Pro. I bought the first 12 gauge that they had in stock, pump action. I can't even think of the name.
Mossberg.
No, it's not a Mossberg. It's
Not a Beretta.
Is it a pump?
It's a pump.
Pump.
What, did I say it like that? No, right on.
It's
pump.
nothing
That was my whole
nothing
life.
fancy. It's $500. Now
That's
my
my
buddy
chest
shoots a
out.
Benelli.
Oh, yeah.
When we were up snow goose hunting, we weren't
Brian.
seeing nothing. Brian and Cody both. And I will tell you, the Benelli they shoot, whatever, I don't know if it's different than yours, but I was messing around with it. That thing didn't have no kick. I can tell you, my gun with a 3.5-inch shell.
Well, my
You feel
spring,
it.
you got to remember my spring isn't loose yet.
Yeah.
Because the first shot's out, so whatever. But, but other than that, man, what the fuck ever. You give me that look. The affection eye.
Mine, you feel it. You shoot 3 through mine,
Yeah.
your shoulder's feeling it.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we're running 2s and 4s.
They took the pin out and had the extender. What was I shooting, 7 or 8 shells?
Yeah.
I could have done it all day long.
Yeah. My right.
But that's the difference between a $2,500 gun and a $500 gun, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good place to end it, guys. I mean, thank you for coming in, Travis. I know you got to go back to work probably. Well, no, you're not going back to work. You've been drinking.
Right.
But Ray, thanks again for coming in, man.
Okay,
And,
brother.
thank you to Duck Blind Mafia for sponsoring this wonderful program, DBM baby. And as always, thank you to our first responders, our service men and women. We love you. Appreciate you, all you veterans out there keeping us safe. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the next go around. Peace.